Hello there, I'm Kevin, aka Toying Around.
I'm Yoko, also known as Live and Lovey to Yoko.
Hey, I'm Paulie from Bitter Asian Dude Inc.
I'm Ernie, also known as the one and only Fallen Fett.
We're four friends chatting about our love for Star Wars, toy collecting, and pop culture. You're listening to the Boba Squadron podcast.
Which episode? Is this episode 10?
Episode 10.
Episode 10. Is the last one for a while.
This is the last one because Kenobi comes out in 7 days exactly. 1 week.
1 week. 1 week. And not just one episode, 2 episodes.
Two. Yeah.
2. Double down. And Stranger Things season 4 also drops on that day. So for those of you, is that shunned? Is that a shunned topic? Shunned.
In a week? Really? No, I like Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
I forgot to watch the trailer. Wasn't there a trailer today?
They released the first 9 minutes of the show, which I know I'm a whore, and I say I'll fucking watch it. I stop myself because I don't want to watch it. What it's gonna do is ruin it because I'll be like, I now have to wait. So it's like I will wait for it, and then I'll be able to binge the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I don't want to get because then it's gonna be awesome. Dropping it. I heard people complaining about it already.
About the first 9 minutes?
Well, they're complaining that they were dropping both shows on the same day, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with you? How could you possibly? What? 2 gigantic franchises are releasing their shows on the same day? Oh my God, what am I gonna do? It's not one or the other.
Yeah, I love the people who thought that Kenobi was pushed 2 days to specifically compete with Stranger Things. No. I was like, no, that makes no sense.
Yeah, there's no competition.
Conspiracy theories, they don't have to make sense.
That's why I love them.
It's ridiculous. It's like that's one of the problems. I mean, one of the bad things that the internet has provided is the fact that every crackpot with every sort of half-baked idea throws it out there and goes, yes, this must be it. And if you repeat it enough times, or if enough people retweet it or share it or whatever, then it must be true. It is literally the dumbing down of the human species. Smartphones, the internet, all the shit that was supposed to make us smarter has made us dumber. And you want to talk about sheeple? That's what caused people to become sheeple. So I
call it Walking Dead. That's what I call it, because we are. We're just everybody out there constantly head down, all up in it, don't know what's going on. And then you can't even enjoy what is going around you because, like you said earlier, with there's a sign, you're filming everything. So, like, sometimes you have to make that decision not to.
But then how are we supposed to watch movies in the toilet, Ernie? Is what Kevin...
Oh, is that what you were going to say earlier? The other thing?
The other thing. That was very funny. Yes, because it's like, wow, Yoko really knows me. Because we're all gonna bring up the whole as a filmmaker intended for the movies thing. So there was that, but the other thing too is, you know me so well. It's like he's not gonna know the name. He'll fumble about and go, oh, it's somebody I should know, and he'll be searching on his phone, and then he'll go, oh yeah, it's that. And I'm like, damn it, how does she know?
As it was playing, Paul was looking down on his phone. He's like, wait, what?
He had to stop himself.
No. It is funny though, because when you asked, because I jumped on and then last week after you guys had finished recording, and then Ernie, you had to go, and so we stayed on. We were just chatting, and we basically rehashing everything that you guys covered
awesome.
On the podcast. And so the questions came up, and Yoko, to get her $10, your $10, which is now her $10, asked the question, and I was like, I think I should, and I did that. I did actually go to check on my phone.
Damn it, Paul.
And then Kevin was like, oh, it's Moses something. And I said, I knew it was because I said, it's a different name. It's not like a feminine name. It's more of a traditionally a masculine name. And so when he said Moses, I was like, yes, Moses. And I was actually happy because then I didn't have to search for it. Because I find that very onerous to go, IMDb, what is this? What is this? And I have to wait, right?
So Yoko won the bet. I now owe Yoko $10.
I heard it was
a celebration. No, it was only 10. That's it. And now if I pass out at Celebration because I couldn't get a hot dog and a soda, Paul, that's going to be your fault.
My
just
fault.
let you know. Yeah, because I lost the bet.
Dude, you didn't know. What was that description of Mandy Patinkin?
I have no idea. I know.
You were like,
I sat there like
that goes to the wrong side. Paul would know this. I'm like, no one would know this. What, Ernie?
I didn't know, and I'm watching myself. I sat there. I had to rewatch it. Like, probably seriously watch it like 10 times. Of like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Like, sometimes you should take a break. I was having a full conversation with myself.
Wow.
I was like, but then I was still surprised even more that then just a couple minutes later, again, Yoko does get it. Oh,
yeah, added more words though.
Right? Yeah.
That's why it's not like something miraculously clicked. Like you said more words before. At first, you were like,
"There's a couple words," and she still said "homeland." I'm like, "Yes, there it is." But yeah, I mean, you're the one who called it out, Kev. And we were like, "What is wrong with you? That makes no sense."
No, I didn't say anything. Yoko said. There was a break, and then there was a very small pause, and Yoko said, "Did you get anything he just said?" I was like, right. "Oh, no, I have no idea."
Yeah.
I have no idea what he said.
Yeah.
What was that? Yeah, what was that drive-by, casual racism drive-by of like the fifth brother?
Because I just called out a number. I just called out a number.
And it happened to be
unintentional racism.
Korean.
And then right away, you were like, "Oh, Fast and the Furious?" You didn't even know his name. You didn't.
I don't. I just know him as Han. Don't grab your phone to look it up either. What's his name?
Sun Kang.
Dang it.
Yeah, that's right.
I just know him as Han.
That's right.
You're See, so that's what I needed you to do beforehand.
Kevin, cut that out,
cut.
Please.
Cut. He's so cut.
I do have to give you props, though. I really did love the discussion about the despecialized editions of A New Hope, especially. There was a great conversation about Jabba the Hutt because that question I think Kevin you asked is like, so like, was Jabba the Hutt always a human? Because not realizing that scene was a deleted scene that was added back in for the specialized editions, and it was a guy. Jabba the Hutt was a human wearing that big furry vest, and he was like, I think he was Irish, not Scottish. Just Han, me boy,
he was Irish.
What did you be doing this? Why did you have to go fry poor Greedo type thing? I thought it was great, and Ernie, like honestly, it was like you represented really, really well the old guard in terms of going, hey, this is how it was before, and I did love the whole Han shot first discussion. Greedo was murdered. Let's say, I mean, he had a gun on hand, but he was still murdered, cold blood, which is how it was supposed to be. Han Solo, that's his character arc. He's a rogue. He's a ruffian. He's a scoundrel. He's supposed to be that jerky mercenary who just thinks of himself. And then you see him expand and then become a hero of the rebellion. That's that journey. If you have him, you kind of rob him of that, that character development, I think. And I agree with you. I have no idea what McClunky means.
Yeah.
I think just leave it alone. At this point, how many different versions are we going to get?
There was no added value to that.
But it was great. It was I missed you during that time. But, man, we had so much feedback from that comment. So I do want to clarify the comments that were made during that time. Because we got hit up on YouTube. Kev showed me that. Kev, I still didn't even show you what I got hit up with my DMs from it. During the show yesterday, our show, somebody had mentioned it on the side in the chat Migos. So yes, there is a DVD version out there. The two sets that were a long time ago. They're in gold boxes. They were the widescreen that got released. There was an original version and then the specialized version. Yes, they are out there. Yep. But the reason why I say it's not there is you can't find those. And it's totally expensive if you do. Because on the other hand, nobody... No, I have them too. But that's what you can't find them too. You and Yoko can't go get them for yourselves. Right. You're going to pay a whole butt ton of money or nobody even gives them up. I would never give mine up. How I said...
butt ton or an American butt ton?
Oh, wow. A lot.
Whichever is bigger.
Yeah, the biggest one.
There is out there a fan-made
Yes.
And this is all collaborative as well. The despecialized edition, it's free sourced apparently. They've gone through and scoured all these HD versions and really digitally removed all the specialized effects. It should be free. I actually bought a version of that on eBay.
Yes.
And then I found out afterwards, it's like, oh no, you can get this for free. In fact, you should be getting it for free because it is a fan-driven thing, not meant to be monetized or profited off of, right? So I do own like a Blu-ray version of a despecialized edition, and it's like it's got the old matte paintings where you can see through, like when the ships are flying and you've tried to black it out, you can still see a little bit of the background of the Starfield or other ships as they go by. It's these things that make it very quaint nowadays because it was all practical effects. And during that time, it was all cutting edge technology. I mean, ILM was created specifically because of the technology they invented to shoot Star Wars, right? Rotoscoping, all those different camera tricks, with the miniatures, all that stuff was specifically designed for those movies. And it's amazing because if you see, just to watch, I mean, we did our homework, Clone Wars Episode 1. Sorry, Clone Wars Episode 1. The Phantom, oh my God. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom.
You're really pulling an Ernie here.
Wow. That movie actually had the most miniature work in it, more practical effects, more so than the CGI. Everybody forgets that. And it's like, no, because they had, like, for the pod racer thing, that was a set.
The Boonta Eve classic.
Yeah. That was all practical. That was all miniature. I mean, yes, they had the CGI stuff going around, but a lot of it was practical. And what really was, back in the theaters back there, you go, oh my God, that's amazing. You watch now and you go, ooh, a little rough around the edges, right? And I'm talking about Jar Jar jumping in the water and that fake foam around him. You're like, that's kind of hideous. You look at that, but that was the limitations of the time. That was cutting edge at the time. They were pushing the envelope then. And it's, I don't know. I think
here's the thing, like Lucas going back and adding stuff to the original trilogy, I could see that happening to Prequel Trilogy, right? You're saying those graphics don't hold up now, 20 years later.
The difference is Lucas doesn't own
rights
to them anymore.
Yep,
it's not
that's exactly what I was going to say.
His movies, he could do whatever he wanted. They were his movies. If he wants to do it, he owns those movies. He can do whatever he wanted, and the fans can go, "Oh my God," and scream and moan. But it's like, yeah, he created it. If he wants to do it, he wants to do it. Now, I think they're missing out on an opportunity. Y'all touched on it last week. Have the original theatrical releases available. They would make so much money off of that. To be able to go, yes, I would love to see and do a comparison between the two, but they won't do it because I think I think it opens up a lot of it opens up a can of worms in terms of comparisons and people going, well, they're dumb for doing this and this. It's an admission of, yeah, we were dumb for trying to fix it up. And so I think that's not going to happen. I don't think they're going to release a theatrical. I would love to see it personally. I don't think that's going to happen. But there are instances where, and I'm bringing up a Shun topic, where updated special effects are added to a franchise that actually bumps up the value a little bit. And I'm talking specifically about Star Trek. Because they've done that. Yeah. I said Shun, so that was there. I wasn't going to be talking about books. Although they're all releasing another set of books, beautiful books that Ernie showed us today that Yoko is coveting.
I am.
So there is that too. So two Shun topics. But in terms of the added special effects, they removed the 1960s sort of models and whatnot, which were gorgeous at the time, but they've had enhanced, digitized versions of the Starship Enterprise. They've redone the planets to make them look gorgeous. Some of the battle sequences look great, but it didn't totally alter this, like the overall effect or the storylines, where that's where Lucas seems to be playing around, like in terms of changing the storylines around, Greedo shooting first and then them shooting simultaneously and stuff like that. For Star Trek, that was literally, we're going to make it look prettier. This one thing. The effects weren't up to snuff. It's not like they digitized all the actors and gave them new uniforms or made the set look any sexier. They didn't need any reshoots. They just, all the special effects shots, they just made more modern. And they did it in a style that was quite agreeable to the actual spirit in which the episode was shot. It was made to enhance, not to alter. And that's why I think, you know, Star Trek, they did it right in terms of doing that. Whereas for the Star Wars stuff, you know, I get it. I mean, that was the same argument that George Lucas was saying. You know, we didn't have the technology back then to do this, but now we do. And now I want to.
And that's why he was doing it.
Yeah,
and it's like you said, it was his movie,
yeah.
So he got to. And it just struck me so much of, dang, Kevin and Yoko have not seen the original, like because it's not there. And yeah. I do. That was mentioned heavily too. Of hey, Ernie, there's the despecialized versions are out there. I didn't know that it was offered free, so I didn't want to bring it up that way because the illegally finding it and everything like that.
Right.
But if there is a way to get it, then that'd be cool. I'll look that up because I do have copies myself too. But then maybe we can try and get some to Kevin and Yoko so that they can kind of see that. It's still not the original because I was like I was saying, white saber fights and everything like that. So in there, they added the color to the sabers the correct way and left it. So.
Yeah, and there's change in dialogue too. Empire Strikes Back. You see the Emperor, and it's not it's not Ian McDermott. Is that his name? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not him. It's a woman in like really bad prosthetics. Like they show, and that's the Emperor right there. And the dialogue is different. They changed the dialogue from the original ESB to just sort of fix and blend some of what's happening later on in the story as it became bigger, more expansive. They altered the dialogue in order to like just make those connections a little bit stronger. But the original dialogue was different for that. They add dialogue like freaking no. Like, why would they add that to Return of the Jedi? Right, the original Return of the Jedi, when the Emperor is like force lightning the life out of Luke, and Darth Vader makes the decision. No, he just picks him up in silence. In the original version, it's so much more powerful. The music swells. He grabs him. He gets force lightning, and he chucks him down the well. It's none of this. No,
correct.
No.
But you get the breathing really heavy, but going out too. Kind of like that was his dying move. Remember that as it is silent, but you hear that just like real.
Yeah, it's labor.
He's dying. He's taking his last to save his son. Crazy.
So did they add that to parallel what?
Absolutely. Where's Padme? It's like, no, I'm afraid it'll kill her hair. Revenge of the Sith. No, it can't be. No. It's like, and so the running meme was every time Vader got mad, he was like, no, I'm sorry, Lord Vader, we're out of chocolate milk. No. It becomes a joke.
He did change some of the first ones. He changed Yoda. Yep. Remember they used a puppet and it was ugly as all get out?
Yep.
And so he changed it
and it's
to
all
a CGI Yoda. Yeah.
I would like to see Disney do that version of just enhancing the graphics and the CGI, the stuff that doesn't hold up to Phantom Menace. Like you said, some of the animations are no good now in 2022.
The time to do it, I think, would have been great. Would have been, during these big anniversary things. It's like it's the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones. We've redone all the special effects, and then you kind of go, okay, so it's timed with a theatrical release. You get that run, and then you release it on physical media or available for streaming or for digital download or whatever. That would have been the time to do it. If you do it now, a lot of people are like,
weird.
Wait for it for the 30th anniversary or the 25th of each, right? Quarter century, new effects.
25th and 30th. It's just do it every 5. And you know what? I feel like Star Wars fans would just be like, all right, here we go. Yeah, I'll get it.
Wow. I had no idea Han Solo slit Greedo's throat. Right? Like, they just make it more violent. It's like, whoa.
He shanks him.
Right?
As he walks to the table, Han was never sitting there. It's Greedo sitting there first now. And so Han walks just right up behind him, shanks him. Yeah.
And then he hands the knife off to hands it off to Chewie, and Chewie's walking the other way.
No, he flips a knife to the bartender. Sorry about the mess. And instead of like coin, he flips the knife.
we touched on episode 1 a little bit, and our homework this week was 3 movies.
Episode
Movies
2
we
is
have
still
seen.
trash.
What's that?
Episode 2 is still trash. It's even worse.
I still like them all.
Hey, you know what? Fine.
I enjoyed
there
it.
are moments in each of those movies that I really did quite enjoy. As an overall, though, episode 2 is still the weakest, in my opinion, of the 3.
Yeah.
It also got the hardest position because it's the middle franchise, middle movie of that trilogy. And traditionally speaking, the middle movie has always been like, oh my God, this is going to be the Empire Strikes Back of this whole trilogy, right? Like, it's the second movie. There's going to be a cliffhanger. It's going to be so exciting. And it just was just like, oh my God, what the hell was that? Like,
that was actually my takeaway rewatching him this time. I was like, people always hate on Phantom Menace, but I actually think when I was watching it back this time, I was like, Attack of the Clones felt the weakest to me this time around. So it's funny that you say that.
It was always, for me, I had such, and that the reason I remember is I had such high hopes. Because Phantom Menace was the Phantom Menace. I mean, you got a wicked-ass lightsaber battle between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, young Obi-Wan Kenobi. Dude got cut in half. The music was awesome. The space battle was a space battle. I mean, there was a kid in it, so who cares? Like, it was just, it had all those elements, and you know, like it or not, there was Jar Jar, and like they introduced all these, but it was a new Star Wars, and so it was like, okay, fine. The second movie, Attack of the Clones, it's gonna kill. And then you got awkward Anakin hormones. I felt so bad for him. Like, I was cringing for him. I was just like, oh, the Jedi did not prepare you well at all for this, Anakin. You know, it's the whole, there's that scene, you know, when they kiss for the first time, they're on Naboo, and she's totally into it, he's into it, and then she pulls away, and Padme says, we shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake. Look at the expression on Anakin's face.
I saw it.
And he's like, and he's the most, oh my God. It's just like, you're just dying as an audience watching this poor dude just try to control his hormones. And he's getting so many mixed signals too, right? Like, it's just like, she's like, we can't do this. It's like, and yet you're not like, you're the outfits they have her wear, and you know, I know it goes into the whole, you know, no body shaming or this or that, but it is, she's wearing like a halter top with a choker, she looks incredibly beautiful. And if you want to stop gunny sack or very sensible clothes and say no, you don't get done up in your best, like, most gorgeous outfits.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
Women do not get dressed for men. Women get dressed for themselves and for other women.
That's absolutely valid. But you got me on that. I mean, and that's totally it. And from a stupid male Neanderthalic sort of way, like, and this is in 2002. Still weren't as woke, and it's just like, oh, why are you dressed like that? You're just so. I mean, and that's he's so hormonal. He's saying the dumbest things, right? And it's just, I have no argument. You're right. This is just, that's always been the argument, though. It's like, why would she dress like that if she wants to stop him, type thing, just to be a bit more, and not that she should be. Oh my God, I just keep digging deeper hole. I'm just going to stop.
Go in another direction here.
That argument doesn't hold water anymore. And I'm sorry I brought it up because it's a stupid argument. And I'm fully going to own up to that, because that is just like, it's an old argument. It's like, why is she dressed like that? She doesn't want him around. She must want him around. It's like, no, what you say is absolutely valid, Yoko. And it's just like, he's got to learn to control himself too.
Yeah.
I think that's basically it. Grow up, Anakin. Take a cold shower.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people forgot about this part. Okay, so where she was, Naboo is a very elegant place. You can tell by the statues and everything like that. So not only that, I think it was the dress of the area, of everybody, right? Of Naboo itself. But what a lot of people forget is the age difference between Padme and Anakin.
Yeah.
So as she can say, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and stop herself, Anakin was very hormonal and falling in love, because even though it is Hayden Christensen playing him, your age gap there was huge. If you
is it like 10 years?
Oh man, was it?
Because it's think about little Annie and the
right.
handmaiden
No, that's what I'm going
in
to.
episode 1.
That
right?
always I found so crazy when we watch episode 1 and he's little Annie. Are you an angel? Like that, and you're like, whoa, okay. Like you
5
knew.
years. They are 5 years apart.
No, are you serious?
Women, don't forget, girls mature earlier than boys.
No, so she was queen at what? I mean, how old is Annie there?
She's 14.
She did say
10?
she's the youngest queen.
You're right. She's the youngest
queen.
She was 15? She was 14.
She was 14?
So it's only 5 years. It's only 5 years.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
I did not look at it. I Googled it, but it says
I honestly
that
thought it was 9. I thought it was 9.
He was 9 when they met.
Is that what I'm going with?
Yeah, I think that's what you thought. You heard 9. The 9-year-old. No, he was 9 years old.
My favorite, like, I don't know, memes. Are they memes or the jokes from this movie though? Is like Padme falls for this whiny hormonal Anakin when Obi-Wan is right there. Like that I get. And look, I love Anakin, and but this is what I was watching, or when rewatching these movies again right now too. I was like, oh, I don't get her falling for Attack of the Clones Anakin. Like you get to the next movie, and I'm like, I get it there. Especially the beginning before he gets all murdery, but and like during Clone Wars, of course, like I love that Anakin, like that Anakin is my favorite Anakin. But rewatching Attack of the Clones, I was like, come on, Padme, have some standards.
Well, again, when we got Clone Wars and it expanded on their love even more, that was cool. Yeah, but got to do a lot more together.
Yeah, but it took an extra, like a whole animated series to plug those gaps. And so as a standalone, it made no sense. You're like, it felt like, well, the only reason she falls in love with him is because she has to. According to the story, she has to. But what we're being shown right now, at least in my opinion, was just like, I don't get it. Like that whole, when they're in Geonosis and they're about to go to the death, to die. She's like, I love you. I've always loved you. I'm like, whoa, really? It just felt so forced and hackneyed and just over the top type thing. And, his reaction to like, you love me? Like
he was as surprised as we were.
Yeah,
really?
What? And he's like, but what did you? What talk about mixed signals? Because then for her to have love him that deeply, to admit her love for him, and this, of course, takes place after he's admitted to her. He slaughtered an entire village of Tusken
I love that she was like, well, everyone makes mistakes.
She hugged him. It felt like she got turned on by that. She was like,
oh, okay.
Dangerous boy. Okay, yeah, now I like you. And then she's like, what the hell?
She was like, to be human is to make mistakes. I'm like, whoa, that's a whole village worth
when you slaughter women and children, just a mistake. I'm just being human, baby. Pew, pew, pew. Still human. Zap, zap, zap. Beheaded. Like it's just...
Master Skywalker, what are we going to do?
There are too many of them.
Another human.
What are we going to do?
You ever told the little kid, or they told him acting, okay, now just act surprised. Okay, we got it. Thanks.
I would love to see an interview of that kid now and be like, how do you feel about this scene now as an adult that, after your scene, Anakin comes in and like murdered your entire class? I would love to see that actor's reaction.
There's actually a picture of that kid grown up now with Hayden Christensen together. And it's the whole, no hard feelings. It's like, well, of course not. We didn't really murder you. But...
Did they turn the actor into a Force ghost standing next to Anakin? Standing next to Hayden Christensen?
Well, he should have been a Force ghost too then.
Yeah.
Who is Anakin's dad?
Yeah, because Palpatine teaches him that, like, hey, you can form a human out of midichlorians.
Right, so when they're walking and then he glances over at him.
Because like, did he orchestrate it? He orchestrated the blockade in episode 1, and then now it's like 10 years later.
It's pronounced blockade.
The blockade.
The blockade.
Oh, the Newt Gunray. We talked about Newt Gunray last night.
Isn't that right? So Sir Lacious Crumb.
Yes. Thank you. You're absolutely right.
What was the other? What was the other one?
Grievous.
General Grievous.
Grievous. General Grievous.
I've always said
name
Grievous.
is longer than I thought. Grievous bodily harm. I thought that was very, very funny.
Thank you. That's how I've always said it.
Yeah,
Thank you. Like it was a bit that you were doing.
Yeah.
It's not a bit. It's all real. All my words that I mess up.
Now, as a probie,
muscles.
as a probie, Ernie, like you do have some recourse. So if you feel like you're suffering some grievous situations, you can always file a grievous with HR.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Because we don't want any
HR.
Yeah, we don't want any salacious sort of activity here.
You put them all in a sentence for me, huh?
Right. Yes.
Improv king. Too bad the head of HR is Paul.
Yeah.
Can I speak with HR?
Submit it to
the whole turnaround.
No conflict of interest here. Please. I want to hear your grievances. There's some I think Revenge of the Sith was the superior movie out of all three. I like right from the opening, I thought was the most spectacular opening of a Star Wars movie. Like just the drum beat, like a bang, 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 and then the Venator class, the two starfighters, and then the shift of perspective as they swoop into this massive battle, I thought was really, really cool. You know, this was all like before the first 20 minutes was up, this gigantic sort of opening. And then you pair that with just a continuation of the storylines. I think the stories, just because we knew it was leading up to the rise of Darth Vader, right? And you know, there were little quibbles, massive quibbles about some of the storyline, some of the plot points, which is fine. You know what happened. But that whole you know, how easily some of these grand Jedi masters were taken down by Darth Sidious. I mean,
yeah,
come on, Kit Fisto got taken down like a punk. It was just like thrust. Is it that easy?
He thrusted all of them and slashed one all the time. That's been a big one.
And it was just like, oh, no wonder the Jedi Order fell. If that's all
I always thought like Mace Windu was like, we have to go arrest the Chancellor, and there were no Jedi around, so he grabbed some extra lightsabers and got some temple custodians, and just like, guys, you just got.
You're a Jedi Knight. You're a Jedi Knight.
Yeah, he didn't bring a temple guard, like a couple of temple guards with him. It's like we're going to arrest a Sith Lord.
Yeah,
correct.
I mean,
well, here's the thing of it too is I don't know about you, Paul, but I always go back and I watch these a lot, and it brings up more questions every time that I watch them. I always have a new question every time I watch them. And on this one, it was, damn, Mace Windu really hated Anakin. Like his attitude, his questioning, because even when he came to him and he tries to get his trust right before that scene, and he says he's a Sith Lord. What?
Shunned topic alert. Like every book I read that Mace Windu is in, like they make him such an asshole. Like he's just like even more so
even in the books. Huh?
In every book, he's such an asshole. I'm like, God, I hate Mace Windu.
Aww.
Yeah, he's a dick to Anakin, big time.
Yeah,
like that. Like he just told you.
Yeah,
you know, he's a Sith Lord. What?
Yeah,
and then he even tells him, "You stay here, and if you're right, you finally earned my trust."
That makes no sense. That made no sense whatsoever. I mean, other than the fact that, hey, maybe he'll turn on me. It's like he did because you fucking left him behind and he didn't get the complete story. Like if he'd been, and that's the thing. I think Mace Windu was the architect of his own fall, literally. Huh? Waka waka.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
But it's just like. And that whole, like, I'm going to end this right now. It's like, wow, that's like that's very un-Jedi-like. Like him doing that. And, you know, Anakin reacts that way because at the very beginning, he's just like, he's got Dooku with the double lightsabers and he did it. So if he's going to do it, he knows Mace Windu's going to do it. So that's why he stops him, right? Like, there's a parallel kind of between the two at that point, which is why maybe they butt heads so much. Right, because they are very headstrong, they're very impulsive. They are very like, we need to cut through all the bullshit. We need to get stuff done type thing. And that's what Anakin's been saying all along. He's like, oh, good. Give him more power. We can finally cut through all the bureaucracy. And Padme's all like, yeah, sounds like a dictatorship. And he's like, well, whatever works. And then there's that awkward moment where they're looking at each other and he goes, ah.
That's the meme.
Of course I was just kidding.
That's like, right? And then the serious face. And then she's like, sounds like a dictatorship. You are so hot right now.
Yeah.
I'm dying a little bit every day since you came back.
Yeah.
I don't love how they use Padme in this movie, though. I gotta say, you know,
terrible.
like they turned her into a damsel in distress. She didn't do anything, and
she died.
She was pregnant, but like, pregnant women can do things too. You know, they don't have to stand in their tower.
Yeah, and they really did weaken her.
Yeah,
her character. Like it's all of a sudden she hooks up with Anakin, and it's just like this like that relationship power level or whatever, because she had so much strength in the first two movies. And you're right, like Yoko, she becomes a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
But I think the real reason why she died was the gigantic size of those babies that came out of her. Because it's like, oh look, there's another one in there too, and they have like this 3-month-old fucking baby.
Yeah.
It's like, do you know how small Natalie Portman is? That thing, like fucking Luke and Leia killed their mother.
The kids were 4 months.
Themselves out, fucking hulked out on her.
Yeah.
But
in a galaxy far, far away, either you didn't have the what are the parties that they have to tell the
gender
sex of
reveals?
the baby? Yeah, you didn't have gender reveals then, and to know from a sonogram that you were carrying twins. It was
a
just
secret
like
baby, you know. She wasn't going to her appointments every trimester and every month.
No, that was why.
No, she went. They didn't care. That's the thing. I think it was one of those egalitarian societies where it's like she's pregnant and it was nobody's business who the father was if she wasn't saying anything, which is why she was like, she's pregnant. And it wasn't until Obi-Wan was like, Anakin's the father, isn't it? Because you're being really protected. Like he fucking knew. Like he knew that they were hooking up. Like
the droids.
Yes.
What were the droids? Ooba.
Yeah.
Ooba.
Scoop.
Ooba.
That meant, a pound of flesh.
My third kid.
Ripped
my
all
third kid, I almost got kicked out of the room with my ex-wife when she was in labor because I started saying that. Ooba. Ooba. Yeah. Just got kicked out that day. Ooba.
It's like, sir, get the fuck out. Like, Ernie, not again.
Yeah. Sorry.
There's
like Star Wars here.
Clone Wars season 7. There's that scene where Anakin was calling Padme in Rex's bunker thing.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I almost said Kanye. I don't know why. Obi-Wan was like, did you at least say hello to Padme for me? And he doesn't say anything. He just walks off. So it's like, so
he knew, but even in the movie,
he knew even in the movie. But I think I tried to watch the movies again, pretending that the Clone Wars animated series did not exist.
Right.
Because I wanted to see, do they hold up without the Clone Wars? And they don't. Right? No. Like the second one especially. There are too many big, again, plot holes, big jumps in logic and stuff, which has all been fixed now, thankfully. But we didn't have that back then. The Clone Wars didn't come out till just, like 10 years ago, 7 years ago, longer. Like, and even then it was just like, so all these support structures have sprouted up in the meantime. But I remember leaving the theaters going, what the fuck was that? And I love Star Wars, but it was like, I don't get it. Like I was just so confused because 2 movies in a row where I left the Star Wars movie feeling a bit unsettled. Like that wasn't satisfying for whatever reason. Like it was just this weird feeling. And I thought, am I getting too old for Star Wars movies? Like I legit kind of thought that. It's like, have I aged out? Like, is this not
right?
As cool as like if I was a kid, would I have loved them way more? I don't know. And again, there were some great set pieces in it, stuff that I will watch again and again and again. The whole Geonosis when all the clone troopers finally swoop in, That was pretty exciting. Watching Yoda finally like spark up a lightsaber and go.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that part.
like the way he was
theaters.
supposed to. You kind of go, oh, I would lose my mind. If I had to fight Yoda, I'd be like, nope, can't do it. You run around, you jump too much, you swing a lightsaber. It's like, not going to do it. Bye. I'm going to leave.
That was like my first Endgame moment. It's like Yoda little shadow came out, was like Cap picking up Mjolnir. It's like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah.
Sort of stuff.
Well, that's you learn everybody who trained through everybody. But I mean, you're forgetting the most important part, Paul, is the introduction of Boba Fett.
Who's the most important?
The most important part of the Clone Wars was the introduction of Boba Fett.
Oh, you mean Jango Fett?
No, Jango Fett is just the dad. He was the donor.
Just the dad. Boba Fett's an exact clone of him, right? Right?
An unaltered.
He's not just the dad. He's exact clone of him, right? The unaltered.
Unaltered means exact, Ernie.
So the exact. There's no argument here. So if Jango goes down like a punk,
we did it.
And Mace Windu cut his head off.
Because he was fighting an asshole. We discussed that
jetpack, now. And it's funny because you see where his jetpack gets damaged. It's by that one creature that hits him, right, with the horn that he brings down. That's how his jetpack gets hit. And he's trying to jump away, and it doesn't work. And zoom, and then that kid picks, Boba, little Boba,
baby Boba,
up, dead. He's dead. He's saying dead, not dad. He's like dead. Can't really tell.
Is that what happened? Yeah. Hey, you know what I saw? Okay, another thing that I thought of too in Clone Wars, when that animal hit him too. Can you do me a favor? Can you ask Favreau or Filoni? Was the Mudhorn supposed to be a callback to that? Like, so now Mandalorian, that was his defeat, but that's what took out Jango.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks.
And text him right now.
No. Whatever makes you happy, Ernie. I think.
Come on.
The fact of the matter is,
parting gift, Boba, right? On his way out.
Django couldn't
only
do
did
it,
10 episodes,
but the Mandalorian could. Ergo, the Mandalorian is a far superior character.
Easily.
I just love the poor Ernie.
Seeing little Boba though was cool.
Viola Grievous with HR.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it is really hard to watch them and to try to pretend Clone Wars didn't exist, like, because like it does fill in so many of the gaps and make some of the errors, I guess, a little more. Except like the whole Padme thing, like seeing Padme get a strong arc in Clone Wars, and you can see what a powerful human being she was actually, outside which you don't see in Episode 3. And it's hard, and I think I've read a handful of Shin Topic Alert books from this time period too that has also added subdimensions to some of these characters that makes it hard. So like, actually, just having read Dark Disciple, where I don't want to spoil it for anyone who actually wants to read it, even though it's been out a few years, but like some of the conversations that happen in that book around how the Jedi go after Count Dooku, and then seeing how they deal with it in these movies, and especially with Palpatine. Like, I don't know, there's a lot more hypocrisy, I think, and you can really, it just adds those levels of like, the Jedi weren't all that really, and I think between the books and the shows, it just, they really get to that in a different way than the movies were able to do.
Let me pose this question to everybody. Like, with the movies, it seems like they're lacking so much. You need a Clone War series to fill in the backstories. You have Mandalorian TV shows that are killing it on Disney Plus, and Boba Fett shows to give him more stories. It's like, are we at a point where, like the shows are better now? Like, are we sorry, the question I guess for the three of you is, are you still excited to hear like, hey, maybe there will be a movie coming out soon? When are we going back? Especially with the sequels and the reception that it got.
I think the miniseries, and they're miniseries. They're like mini movies. Obi-Wan is supposed to be like 6 episodes? It's like a 6-hour movie. And in that 6 hour, of course, you can fill in all those details. You can get the richness through. think that's one of the problems with the prequel trilogy is it's such a massive storyline, and it's got to fit within a certain time frame, and you're going to miss out on a lot of detail to just sort of get the story, the main storyline through. So I'm not going to fault them for that. It's just an epic story, and it's just like there are things that you have to make these leaps in logic. I get that. I totally understand that. And I'm fine. I love how they've stopped the gaps with the different shows. I think that's really smart thinking. It's good storytelling. It establishes it more. It strengthens that entire franchise. I think that's great. It still doesn't take away from the fact that these movies, like the storylines, I think what they focused on was, in my opinion, just a little bit off. Just a little bit off, right? Like close, not quite, not wholly satisfying. I think that's the one main advantage now that these miniseries have, is they have the time and the room to explore these in a little bit more detail that you can't get done in a 2-hour movie or a 2.5-hour movie. You can't, right? That's why Lord of the Rings, 3-4 hour friggin' movies, right? And you look at that and go, yeah, okay, you need that sort of, but you can't do a 4-hour movie every time. So I think what these miniseries do is they offer the chance for these stories to breathe more, to feel a little bit more filled in, a little bit more grounded. And you can follow these characters, and it makes more sense. Their actions then make more sense because they have that time, so they can lay out the situation where you can go, oh, okay, this makes sense as an audience member. Whereas I think the prequel trilogies and the sequel trilogies, they had their own issue there, where I don't think there was a unified vision as to where the story was going. It kind of felt like, let's make it up as we go along. And so that's the thing with the prequel trilogy. It is really, they had these big jumps to make, these big leaps, and they're hoping to bring the audience with them. Say, hey, suspension of disbelief. You're just gonna have to trust us. They love each other, and go, right. And that's that's the thing. Whereas if you sit and like anything else, if you sit and try to really look at these connections and go, okay, is this believable? As somebody who isn't a fan, then I think that's another thing too. It's like, who are they making the movies for? Are they for fans who might know the expanded universe a little bit more, who know this, who know that? Like, are they willing to make that leap with us versus the casual movie-going fan who wants to just watch a Star Wars?
If you think about it, like the prequel trilogy.
Twilogy. Grievous.
Marriage. Love and marriage.
Let me try again. The prequel trilogy would be like one season of a show, right? And like, if say that the trilogy didn't exist, and you're like, okay, we're gonna tell this prequel story in 6 episodes, or in like one season, like you would think that's crazy, wouldn't you? Like no, you can't tell that whole story in one season. You need multiple seasons. So I think that right there, shows the disadvantage of trying to tell that story in 3 movies.
I mean, it would be great if it was like each movie was a 6-hour miniseries.
Yeah.
So just redo it.
Yeah.
Like, that's season 1. Season 2 is the next movie. Season 3 is the third movie.
Yeah.
I think that would be neat.
And then you can build in these other story arcs too from Clone Wars or from some of the books.
Yeah. And I think you guys talked about this before. What was it? Rogue One. Last week's podcast. Yoko, you said you loved it, but it's a very depressing movie. Yeah. Because they all die. It's gotta be, that's why they die. But I think Rogue One also was very successful because it was so focused in on a specific moment during the rebellion. It wasn't this sweeping sort of like, here's the beginning of the rebellion, here's the end of it. It was just like, how did a plucky group of misfits get the plans for the Death Star? And I think that's why it stands up in terms of just a standalone movie, right? It's just like, you don't hear too many people dumping all over it because it bridges that gap, and it's very focused on one particular event. And I think they did it well. And I think, Ernie, you made the point, they had to die. I think you're absolutely right. They had to die. They all had to die. But what I loved about that movie too was it raised the stakes for the whole rebellion, and it also showed the scope of the rebellion and how they weren't a unified force. They were all bickering amongst each other. And I think that's something that they don't really show in the original trilogy at all. You just think, we're all on the same side and we're all going to do this. What I loved about Rogue One was the fear. There were factions of the rebellion who weren't willing to commit to the battle. And I love that because it was just like that made everything more heightened in terms of the whole, if we screw up, we're all dead type
A
thing.
lot more at stake.
Yeah. Yeah. The stakes were so high in that. And I love that. And how the impetuousness of one group just started a chain reaction. And then Raditz was like, well, we're taking the fleet. See ya. And then they jump away. And it's just like, oh, okay, I guess we're going. And everybody just sort of jumps in. It wasn't like a story that, I mean, it kind of did because it was Jyn Erso's journey. And they did do the time jump. But her time as a child was more of exposition. And then her that one brief, what is it, like a week of her life near the end?
Right.
Yeah, basically.
Literally just Jyn Erso's last week alive.
Right.
And how she became a hero of the
Oh my
rebellion.
God.
And
Right?
to save
Think
it.
of the movie that way.
Yeah.
It's Jyn Erso's last week breathing. Holy crap.
But even more so to what you were asking about the Disney Plus stuff, Kev, is and to expand on what Paul was saying was now we're getting the Andor series to go off of Rogue One. So again, we're expanding that. We are going to learn about the rebellion now. We are going to get this stuff. So to my answer to that is I love what Disney Plus has done to expand on all these stories and everything. There's always different fans for Star Wars, and that's a point I always like to bring up because there's the ones who grew up on that trilogy, and that trilogy is their trilogy. And you have people who grew up with these prequels who are way even more excited than we are to see Obi-Wan because that to them is their Rogue One, like it was kind of to us to expand more on the story. I think Star Wars did something that nobody else could do as far as always expanding that story, because when we just had the original trilogy, we did have books and comics to go off of, and the books were the expanded universe, which were still kind of Lucas driven, but they were crazy stories to say expanded universe. And then all of a sudden, 15 years later, we get Phantom Menace when we didn't even think that something was going to happen, and we do the story, but even at that, it was still crazy. Like, oh my God, wow. And then we get the sequels, and now we're in a time of where we're getting all these shows again. Like, yeah, Clone Wars, you're right. It is hard. You can't try and watch those without knowing all the background stories that you know now. So it's very hard to watch those, but I think it's just a great time because you get to expand on it, and those books, comics have always been there. And now it just means even more so because now they've called it a canon universe. So where some stories were just stories to us that don't count anymore, but people still live by it till this day. So to see where that can expand and what they're doing, yeah, I take it as a mini movie all the time. Like all these shows is you're right. That was a good way to say it, Yoko, because I never thought about that. This was a Disney series trying to tell the story of Vader and their love and growing up. And that's right. And now we have Clone Wars to expand because, man, we didn't get that. We got 2 TV shows and we got a droid cartoon and the Christmas special. That's all we got, man. And those TV shows were crazy.
Did those shows fill in any gaps that you felt was missing in the original trilogy?
No. In the Christmas Story, Luke didn't even look like Luke. In the special, he was way, I hate to say it, but man, he looked drugged out. And then in those the Caravan of Courage and like that, like you got new characters, and it was just, it did not feel Star Warsy. It felt total TV movie, but you were supposed to believe that it was Star Wars.
Mark Hamill was more like Luke Skywalker in the Muppet Show when he appeared as Luke Skywalker in the Muppet Show than in anything else. He was great. If anybody's out there listening, you haven't seen it, do a search on it. We have it on DVD. One of the old episodes of the Muppet Show. Mark Hamill is a special guest, and he shows up in his Bespin costume. He's Mark Hamill, then he's Luke Skywalker, and it's a wonderful, wonderful sort of satire. I mean, Gonzo is Darth Nader. It's like, oh no, it's great. It's really, really great. So I highly recommend seeing that too, because, of course, Miss Piggy, who is voiced by Frank Oz, pretends that she is Princess Leia, at a certain point, and it's very funny. So check that out. Jar Jar Binks as a Sith.
Yeah, totally, right? You saw it.
Here we go.
No.
I think that's stretching. Honestly, I think that's stretching a bit. I think it's a great theory. I think it's a fun theory, but I call bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. I call bullshit. Just because, well, the whole his eyes are yellow. They're all their eyes are yellow. All the Gungans, if you look at them, all their eyes are yellow.
Here's another thing. What was Boss Nass then?
Boss Nass?
Yes.
Oh, there's I always saw it as like Calamarain and the Quarren, right? They're symbiotic. They lived like he's a different sort of species, like he's of the same gene pool, but a different manifestation of it. Hey, they did that whole thing when everybody was complaining about the Grand Inquisitor, and they were saying, hey, you know, this species, they can look completely different, just like human beings can. And they showed a picture of a handsome young actor, and then they showed a picture of what's his name, one of the senators, McConnell, who's just like this shriveled up prune, and you look at it and go, these are human beings, and they look completely different. So I think it's one of those things where, yeah, they can be. I mean, there are a lot of other there's interspecies sort of like variants of each other, but they're all native Nabooians.
Okay,
native
Nubian, Nubian starfighter.
You do a very, very good Watto.
I do like your Watto.
It's very good.
Yeah,
it's a little alarming, honestly.
Yeah,
I did it last night. Yeah, and the longer
I was alarmed.
Well, all of my accents, the longer I do it, eventually turn into Borat.
It just automatically goes there. That's how you end it. That's when you know you're done.
I can't get away from it. But
Yeah.
hey, we're talking about Jar Jar and this theory, and then, you know, once you start picking it apart, Paul, you start picking apart this theory, you know, the conspiracy theory Ernie was like, well, what about Boss Nass? You know, what's his deal? What does that have to do with the Jar Jar being a Jedi, Ernie? Are you just trying to...
No. I was saying the question of how he was saying, you know, you had all these, they were all the same. They all had yellow eyes. So that's another question that I've always asked. You had all the Gungans who look the same, but he's the leader.
With the flappy ears.
Right. And he's Boss Nass, who was their lead Gungan. Why does he look that way? He looks more Toad-like.
Because he's old.
And he's
Yeah. They start to melt. And then...
and that's why he looks that way?
Yeah.
That was just one thing there. I have another question that I've always wanted to ask you, too, on going into it. Do you believe that Dooku was telling the truth about Qui-Gon? That maybe he did know what was going on? I always found that conversation very leading.
With him and Obi-Wan, when Obi-Wan's floating.
Yes.
I love that. I love that scene.
Oh, what do you feel? I've always felt that he was telling the truth.
Yeah, no, that's how you make a compelling argument, oddly enough, if you tell the truth, right? Mm-hmm. When somebody thinks you're lying and you're just telling the truth, that's when you really put doubt in people's minds, right? And I think his mission there was to fuck with Obi-Wan. Like, he was just like, oh, this is a terrible, I need to fix this. I need to fix this.
Terrible mistake.
He's courting him the whole time. He's just totally trying to groom him to join, and even dropping Qui-Gon's name and saying, well, you know, your master felt the same way. This is why he's distanced himself from the council. And if you think about that, that makes total sense.
I've always thought that. So many people fight it, though, and say, oh, no, he was lying. He was just trying to get at Obi-Wan. And I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I think he was trying to get at Obi-Wan, but with the truth.
Right.
I mean, absolutely with the truth. And that's the thing. I mean, Qui-Gon did things that were against the Jedi Council wishes, right? Anakin was to be trained, right? All these different things. He even learned to come back as a Force ghost, right? This is not something that was like, you know, the Jedi Order really sort of espoused upon. Otherwise, everybody could do it all the time. And so I totally believe that Qui-Gon could sense that, hey, you know what? Shit's starting, like the center's starting to give. We're getting a speed wobble. The time of the Jedi is very, very short. He believed in the prophecy, obviously, of the one who's supposed to bring balance to the Force, which is why he pushed for it. But I think totally it's within character that Qui-Gon did those exact things that Dooku was saying he did. And it makes sense. It totally makes sense. Like, and I love that. And you know, he and Shmi totally hooked up.
Oh, yeah.
They're on Tatooine during that sandstorm. Yeah. You know they did.
During the sandstorm.
Yeah. Anakin came in and was like, "It's loud outside. I hear the thunder." And Qui-Gon's the one who put him back to bed.
That's why he has this bad association with sand when he's grown up.
It's everywhere.
That one sandstorm.
Yep.
It's everywhere.
It's nothing but bad memories, man. Like, why does mom always do this? Yeah. I'm telling you, dude. I feel the same way. But for reals, Kev, you didn't think he was lying either, or just trying to get at Obi-Wan?
There are certain parts with Dooku that I'm not quite sure if he's messing with people, and I'm not quite sure how much he knows, to a point where it's hard for me to follow. And correct me if I'm wrong, there are parts when he's like, what if I told you the Republic is under the influence of a Sith Lord?
Oh, yeah.
But then is his role as the leader of the Separatists, and he knows he's working for the Sith Lord. Does he know what the plan is? Or he just gets certain parts and that's why he's so surprised when his head gets lopped off? Like, what's the play? He doesn't know that there's clones. All of a sudden he has to prepare for battle with a clone army. Like, Sidious didn't tell him about these parts.
Here's what's hard about that is all of the old stories come into play, because now after all this time, as I ask you that question, it's hard to answer that, because I know that he had Asajj on the side that he was training for himself. Right. That was his second, right? So that plays all into my head as far as, yeah, he did know. But saying just a movie-wise, I don't know. Because I've always thought that too. Wasn't that always like the craziest thing if he just puts on the hood and he's Darth Sidious? Like, everybody could see his face, right? Like, they knew he was Palpatine. Did you guys ever ask yourself that question? Like, they do know, right?
I let it slide. Like,
when you're saying who knows, what do you mean?
Anybody from Dooku to all the Separatists.
I don't know though, because if it's shadowed, they wouldn't necessarily see his face.
See, that's what I kind of feel too.
Well, and the hood hides the face. I mean, that's the whole. Yeah. Hey, I used to think before the pandemic that the cowboys, when they put the mask up over the face, was the stupidest disguise ever. Like, okay. Come on. And that whole Superman with the glasses, like, come on.
No, the glasses thing is legit. Like,
yeah, and it's just like, it totally is, because I used to think, oh, they can see the eyes. How that doesn't discuss. Now it's like when I see people pull off their masks, I'm like, oh my god, that's what you look like, because your head fills in what you think they look like. Right. So with the hood, I think it's just another extension of that. I don't think it's as far out as you think.
Okay, here's a good one. So we just all saw 3 at the end, right? That's our most one that we just watched. So the very beginning, we talk about how good it is. So does Grievous know that...
Say again?
Does Grievous know... You guys are so mean. That Grievous knows, General Grievous, that's Palpatine. That's Darth Sidious. Palpatine, which Anakin and Obi-Wan are saving, he knows that that's Darth Sidious.
Oh, in the bridge when they're doing that.
Yes.
I don't think so.
You're going with no.
He shattered the window so everyone would get sucked out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or are you going off of, he's a Sith Lord? Like, again, do they know the plan? So he knows that he's supposed to get away.
Mm-hmm. I don't think... No, because Grievous improvised that move on the spot. He's not like, Palpatine will take care of himself. He's a Sith Lord. I don't think he knows that it's the same person. The same way that I was watching, and I'm like, Buttercup doesn't realize that the Dread Pirate Roberts is... He's got the same, like, blue eyes and the mustache. It talks the same way. Like, I know it's been 5 years. And
like how you guys didn't realize Indigo Montoya is Mandy Patinkin?
That's completely different.
How is that completely different?
20 years and a beard and about
a full face though, not even covered by anything.
He also had a different haircut. Inigo Montoya had like long curly hair and like was way thinner and had a mustache.
But a full face. Same human being.
You look at a beard changes the shape of your head, of your face. As does it doesn't all the added weight. Like he's much older in Homeland, right? And He's gained that face weight.
I'm just saying, you couldn't realize that you didn't know it was the same person. You're gonna give someone a hard time.
More than 20 years
for a covered face.
That's always been my question. A casual question: does everybody know that Palpatine is Darth Sidious? Like Maul and this whole plan, like you were saying, you know, Dooku drops in front of him and he says, "Do it."
I think Dooku knew.
Okay,
Count Dooku. I think he knew. God, fuck! Every time I say that, it sounds even worse. He knew, and that's why that look of surprise is like, "You're throwing me under the bus." It's like, yeah, because you suck. Boom, done, right? And you know, dead lips tell no tales. So that's the thing. Whereas I think Grievous didn't know. Because Grievous was like, he's a dummy. He's a stooge.
He's a lackey.
Yeah. You do the dirty work. You don't need to know more than I tell you. I think Dooku knew the whole plan. He just like, maybe not every single bit of it, but way more than General Grievous did. Yeah. So I think Grievous didn't know. But even if he did know, it's like Kevin said, except not as offhanded. It's like, he's a Sith Lord. He should be able to survive this shit. And if he doesn't, guess who's in charge now, right? Like, I think that whole side is just like, oh, I better not do this because I might put him in danger. I don't think so. Not one.
Bad guys don't think that way.
Yeah. And it's also a sign of weakness, too. It's like, oh, I'm really worried about you. I want to protect you. That for bad guys, that's a sign of weakness. It's just like, this is on you. If you can't get out of it, too bad. And out the window he goes, right? So
okay, so school me. Episode 1, Sidious and Newt Gunray try to start some shit on Naboo. It doesn't happen. And then 10 years later, 9 or 10 years later, they're trying again to kill Amidala, and then that's what sets off the Clone Wars. Because Palpatine, from what I understand, he's orchestrating this entire thing, right? From
what?
From episode 1?
What I'm gathering is, so the Phantom Menace really is, it's the creation of it's a manufactured crisis to get Palpatine into power, first of all, right? Because they know the bureaucracy. So the moves are, get rid of Valoran. He's out. Who gets voted in? Oh my God, it's such a surprise. And oh, me? I guess I'll take over. So now he's the fucking head chancellor, right? Episode 2 is a continuation. There's an assassination attempt on Padme's life because she's the senator that's pushing against the motion to have the Republic create a military branch. This is what Palpatine wants to do. We need to create a galactic army, this and that. And Padme is very much like, no, we can't. She says it in the movie. We can't let this bill pass because if we create our own army, then we could. It's not a democracy anymore, right? And so what happens? She fucking gives it to Jar Jar. And what does fucking Jar Jar do? He gives it up right away. We say we back the creation of the military. And they fucking build an army. And so when they show up at the end of episode 2, it's like, it's completely legal, right? And it's like, it's a long game. Palpatine's playing a long game in order to like get rid of the old Republic, and create it into the Galactic Empire. And the creation of oh my God, all of a sudden, and here's the other thing, the Jedi didn't think this is kind of janky. All of a sudden, there's this huge army that suddenly made available. Sure, what harm could come from that? Let's use them, right? So they fall into that. But now Palpatine has his own army. And then it's all about getting more and more powers as the war rages on. And of course, he's in collusion with the separatists, including Newt Gunray, the Trade Federation, the fucking mechanical robot federation or whatever, and everybody, the Geonosians, to create this long, drawn-out conflict so that he can get more and more powers. Because, you know, Anakin they even say he's been in power longer than his term should have been. He should have been out. But because of all these emergency measures, he stays in power. And he keeps solidifying and narrowing that base until he becomes the Emperor, right? This attack on my life. We're going to get rid of the Jedi. We're going to do this. And that's the whole long game. Like, that's the whole thing of that. It was
the rise to power.
Conflict for him to take control of the known galaxy. And it worked.
I always thought he had like a 10-year plan, and then something, and I'm like, there's a lot of waiting, but the way you explain it makes sense. He's just seizing each opportunity, building his power, getting into positions, and then with his influence becoming more corrupt, corrupting more people around him and building that, and then getting the army. And then you're right, the Jedi are like, Sifo-Dyas created a clone army? He did.
Lucky for us, let's use him. And then
immediately. And then Obi-Wan's like, I'm glad we won, and Yoda's like, win?
Yeah.
But let's keep rolling with all these clones and fully trust them for everything that we do.
Yeah, the full army.
And get taken out like a bunch of punks. Only Yoda was like clever enough to sort of sense something was off and protect himself. Everybody else, like,
had full trust in him.
Ayala Secura, dude, they filled her in. Like, they shot her in the back, and it was like this vicious where they're all still shooting her corpse. It's like,
it was mob style.
That was personal, right?
That was mob style. They were sending a message.
Yeah, Kiare Mundi, come on. Oh, well, at least he was able to get a couple of blaster blocks in before they gunned him down. But like that was the other thing. That whole sequence was just so heartbreaking. But I just kind of thought the Jedis would be a lot harder to kill.
Yeah,
like, even with the troops that you trusted, you know, I just thought it would be I think it would have been more heartbreaking. And I know they played on that whole idea of they died because they trusted them, and that's a betrayal. Like that hurts. But it was just like, I just kind of would have loved a little bit more fight to see the confusion and the heartbreak on the Jedi's. Like, why? The question, like, to be able to see them as they're being gunned down was like, why is this happening? Instead of just being shot in the back and then that's it.
Which, once again, Clone Wars gave us instead, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Bad Batch. Bad Batch 2, right?
Yeah.
Cal's, no, not Cal.
Cal in Order 2, though. Yes. I feel like every time they give us that moment of Order 66 again, it gets even worse.
Yeah.
Right?
As it should.
Yeah.
That horrible whole feeling. Yeah. They were really close to each other. Yeah. I always feel like
we want to see that.
I always feel like we got that part edited where they killed her and then they zoom up and like that big mushroom just covered it. I feel like somebody put that in there. I feel like we were supposed to really feel it and see more. I feel like somebody edited all the time and was like, no, we're not showing that. Here's a big mushroom. But I've always had those questions too, Kevin. I would love, and here we go with the selfishness again of getting all these Disney Plus shows. I would love definitely a Disney Plus show to show if this was his plan. The Emperor's, like everything that he put in place to get to that part of power and everything. I would love to see that. And I've always wanted to hear the story of Sifo-Dyas too. Because it was just a name, like you said, it popped up. Here's all these clones and like that. I would love a show to see the Emperor planning it and recruiting this Jedi to go make that. Like, who was Sifo-Dyas? How did all that happen? And nobody knew.
And he was a member of the council. That's the thing. He wasn't just a Jedi Master. He was a member of the council. And so, like that, in terms of the corruption there, how that came about. And to see Dooku when he was a Jedi would have been really cool. And like mentoring Qui-Gon, like a young Qui-Gon. That would have been kind of cool, right? Like that whole... But there's something really heartbreaking about that whole when you see your heroes kind of die, because it was like supposed to be a utopia where they were the knights of the Republic. They were the keepers of the peace. They were respected. They were loved. And whenever you see something like, it's like the fall of a civilization. When you see that happen, it's like, it's just killer. Like in the Untouchables, right? Have you guys watched the Untouchables?
Yes.
Kevin Costner, Sean Connery. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital.
Yoko hasn't.
You send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way. Yes? No? Oh, it's a gangster route.
Yeah.
You don't like
I don't think so.
You haven't seen them. But it's like that because you see these heroes each get taken out by the mob. And it's just like, oh my God. And that's what Order 66 should feel like every time.
So the Emperor is Michael Corleone.
Oh, yeah.
Pulling off all the kills.
I'd say more like Al Capone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Corleone, he was more benevolent, in that way. Like it was like, and that was revenge because they tried to screw him first, right? They killed his brother. They did all this stuff. This was all like in retaliation for. Whereas the Emperor,
oh, so it was his plan. Like, okay, yeah.
So our homework was to rewatch these movies to kind of be fresh on all the Kenobi stuff before the series comes out. I told you guys that I realized I had the audiobook for Attack of the Clones, and I listened to a little bit, but there's a part which really stood out. People were worried in the galaxy the Chancellor was captured. You know, there's an invasion on Coruscant, and then the forces left, and everyone's like, oh, well, this is fantastic. You know, we repelled them. But in actuality, they realized on the HoloNet and the news, it's like, oh, the Chancellor is missing. And then that leads to the part we see them on the ship. But they talk about people in the galaxy expecting, and they know the names, Anakin and Obi-Wan, that like they're heroes. And it made it seem like these are faces, like almost celebrities, that like if you hear those names, these are heroes, almost like a Captain America during wartime. It's like, oh, Captain America is going to come save the day. Like that's how the audiobook made it seem like. So if we're like, Obi-Wan's hiding on Tatooine, and he's using the name Kenobi, and people know his face, I'm like, the audiobook kind of, it'll be hard to, it kind of contradicts that whole thing. I know we haven't seen the series yet, but I don't know, are the audiobooks still canon? Because they kind of add to the movies.
The novelization of the movies? It's not, I don't think it's specific to the audiobook necessarily, right? It's just the novelization of the film.
Right, sorry, novelization.
Yeah. I don't know. I would assume that would be canon. I haven't read any of those.
Made it seem like they're known heroes.
If the movie is canon, then the novelization should be canon.
Yeah.
That's a great point, because then you're right. How is it not recognized, right?
We'll see.
Wow.
I don't know.
Maybe somebody shows up on the show like, aren't you?
Do they know them by name though, or do they just know the Jedi? Well, what you heard says about them by name.
Specifically, they knew the names, Obi-Wan and Anakin.
That continued on in the sequels because Luke turned into this hero that he could bring whole starships down with the Force, and that he took out, AT-ATs and everything. That was a story that was going around about Luke Skywalker. So that's a great point, Kev, because if you are known by name and you're out there, wow, I never thought of that.
The thing I think we need to, when Star Wars first came out, this is before cell phones. This was before, you got news through magazines, like pictures through magazines. It wasn't an easy way to share photos other than print and stuff, right? So when you heard, and it's kind of like, Star Wars has always been influenced by like World War II type thing, where the names meant more than you often get just a blurry picture, but you would have the name. So you would know the name, but you wouldn't necessarily know the face.
Right.
Now I know we've got cell phones, pictures. Nowadays, it's really easy. You want to find a picture of somebody, you Google it. It's there. Check their Instagram feed, do whatever and stuff. But I think there's kind of a throwback to that where it's like, but you're right. They have a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi's face, like it's in the trailer. It's wanted, and it's right. But we'll have to watch Obi-Wan, obviously. But seems like he's been in a cave out in the desert for a while. When he goes into town, he's got the hood. And so it might be hard to recognize him when he goes in there. And I think that's the big thing. It just seems he's staying in a cave. And that's been his existence. Very Spartan, he's exiled himself and he knows, but he's got to come up with a cover name. So it's Ben instead of Obi-Wan, right?
Does he age himself up as part of his disguise?
Yeah, I think just living in the harsh sands of the twin sons of Tatooine have done that to him. Seems like a really dry place, which would age your skin very, very quickly.
No moisturizer on Tatooine. Exactly.
He ran out of that.
No SPF.
All of his Jedi sunscreen was gone. So I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that he goes to an obscure, like they might know the name Obi-Wan Kenobi, but they're not they're not necessarily thinking, well, today I'm going to run into a hero of the Clone Wars. And how much time has passed since episode 3 to, like, it's 10 years, right? Like, Luke is 10. A lot of shit changes in 10 years, right? Like, 10 years ago, my argument of why does Amidala dress so fucking slutty when she wants, like, that
my God.
water, right?
Canceled.
So, I'm sorry?
You're canceled.
Yeah, I'm canceled. No, but I mean, that's the thing that would have held water, and it doesn't now. So a lot
10 years,
in 10 years, right? Like people's perceptions, and the Jedi become, from heroes to villains and stuff. But a lot of stuff happens in between too, and I don't think people are just sort of like the Jedi have sort of faded out of the public consciousness, right? Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. It's been 10 years since we last saw the Batman, and people are even wondering, was this Cape Crusader for real, or was he just a hoax type thing? I think it's totally possible. So
it's weird when you think about there's so many things in your life that you are fond of, and then you look back, it's like, oh crap, it's 10 years ago. I've known these people for 15 years. I've don't say that movie's 20 years old. Now I feel old, stuff like that. So
that's Clone Wars.
I guess it works for different things. Okay, so with rewatching the prequels, that sets us up for Kenobi episode 1, which is May 27th, the first 2 episodes. And that would be our return back to YouTube to do our live recaps each episode. And the first recap will be May 30th. But with the series coming up, for me, I want to see like a quick callback, some sort of mention, a little bit more backstory about the relationship between Obi-Wan and Duchess Satine. Yoko, is there anything that you're looking forward to or you're hoping to see in the new series?
I'm trying not to put too much expectation on it, but I really want to see Cal Kestis.
I know that name.
Paul doesn't want to see him.
No, he doesn't.
He's failed me so many times. No, I'd love to see him too. I think that's why I'm playing the game. I think there's going to be some not definitely. I think there's going to be some information I can glean from the game that might enhance my enjoyment.
Try to confirm something?
Confirm?
No, please don't do that to me.
Please stop. I hate this podcast so much.
That was an almost confirm.
No. And I want to see Watto. I mean, it's only 10 years. He's still alive. They're back on Tatooine. Or maybe a young Peli Moto. Again, these aren't required. They're not huge plot points. Easter eggs would be cool. Paul wants to see Cal Kestis.
He stole my answer.
No, I don't. You know what? I'm very curious about the Inquisitors and their backstory and stuff, especially especially Moses' character, just because it seems so personal when she screams. She doesn't say Kenobi. She says Obi-Wan. You can't run away, and so that for me screams that there's a connection. So I want to know her backstory, what she was like, because I think a lot of the Inquisitors used to be Jedi, right? And so that
they were crappy Jedi.
That for me is like I'm really curious to see that fall from grace, right? It's like, Satan was an angel before who fell from heaven type thing, according to the Christian theology, right? So I think that'd be a really, really interesting dynamic to see that, and to see as well. And I saw this interview, the whole idea that Obi-Wan doesn't realize that Anakin is still alive. He thinks Anakin's dead. He left him for dead. So for him to confront and then realize that Anakin is Darth Vader, want to see that moment for sure.
Dread Pirate Roberts all over again. Ernie, how about you?
I want to see a flashback to Anakin, not Vader. That's just I want to see that scene. I want to see a Obi-Wan and an Anakin flashback of some sort that we've never seen, animated, not a callback to the movie. I want to see something out of context that are there, but it's them, that we get to see Hayden as Anakin. That's what I want to see.
while
Ahsoka too. Wait, I want to see Ahsoka too.
To put Hayden and Ahsoka together in live action?
All three of them.
Oh, wow.
It's possible. It possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it is.
There's so much good stuff that could happen. And, you know, I know we try to be. I hope everyone is like, temper your expectations. There's only a limited amount of stuff that they can throw in there. If you don't get it, you know, it doesn't mean it'll be a shit series.
What I love is when they first went to production with it, and then they got delayed, and then there was a bunch of rewrites that happened, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's in trouble!" Blah blah blah. And the one thing that I remember hearing from Deb, like reading in the trades, is they went, and the biggest note they got was, "Go bigger. It can be bigger, much bigger, bigger." So I think, yes, temper your expectations, but at the same time too, they're treating it like a 6-hour movie, right? Deborah directed all the episodes. It wasn't like she took 2 episodes off and they had guest directors, and she did the whole thing. So I'm really like, I'm hoping she knocks it out of the ballpark like I know she can. And I'm excited to see what they have in store for us, because I think I'm going to be dropping quite a few F-bombs in a good way throughout that entire series, and I cannot wait.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's cool that it's your friend. Doing the whole series, man.
Yeah.
You must be very excited and proud and
I'm
things.
so proud of her, and I know she's terrified. She's all like, and this is why I have so much faith in her. She's like, I want to make sure that the fans are happy. You know, and that's the thing. She wants the 501st to be happy. She wants Star Wars fans to be happy. She wants non-Star Wars fans to be happy. It means a lot. It means a lot to everybody, and to her especially. So,
God, it's a week. It's a week away. I don't know why. I know that it's 7 days. I said it at the top of this episode, but like now I'm getting the chills that it's a week.
Like it's finally here, almost.
Yeah.
Shit's
getting real. Shit is getting real. So they're dropping. Are they going to drop it like Thursday night at like 11:50, like they used to do?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Well, Ernie and Yoko, you will be at Celebration. I don't know at that specific time. Do you have plans to? What are your plans to watch?
I'm a little bit stressed about when I'm going to watch it, honestly, because I mean, I will probably watch it at midnight.
For the listener, I'm pointing to
myself. I'll take my iPad, so it's a slightly bigger screen.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, but 2 episodes. Do I stay up and watch it and then be tired all day Friday with the After Dark event the next day too? That's what coffee is made for. I'll be fine. It's fine.
Take a nap.
I'll be fine.
Double coffee.
I don't nap. I drink coffee.
But they're not gonna have you don't think they'd have a showing?
I think they will. They will. They have not said anything yet, but like they've got to do something.
Yeah.
They've got to be doing something.
You know, they've got to have some of it, like Deb or somebody like out in front to just do. It's like a film festival, right? The director and the producers come out and then they talk about what we just saw and wasn't that fucking amazing? And then we'll get like people like videotaping recording the Q&A and stuff, and so the rest of us can live vicariously through that. That's a hint, you guys. You record it,
and then bring on surprise unannounced guest Hayden Christensen.
Oh my God,
that'd be amazing.
And they'll have the pay structure already planned, so it's like, and we just dropped it. Here you go. You want a picture taken with him? You want his autograph? There you go.
We all get instantly charged for being in his presence.
Yeah, right away. I don't know, man. It's going to be crazy. It is going to be crazy. It really, not to say it this way, but it sucks that we're not at home because, you know, it's a
I can't do Midnight 30. Yeah.
Right. We're not the TV. The only thing I can mention to that, Yoko, is I always bring my Amazon stick to the hotel rooms now because all the TVs now have it and you can plug in. So I'm bringing my Amazon stick so that I can still see it there. But you're also at a hotel, right? At midnight. And I'm going to be in the room. Holy shit. Like,
everybody else is going to be doing
banging on the wall.
Everybody's going to be there. They're all going to be screaming the same thing.
Yeah,
that's true. That's so true. So yeah, it's hard, Kev. But because I'm thinking like this. How can we not watch it at midnight? Because if you show up to the show on Friday morning,
everyone's going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
You're at a Star Wars specific convention.
Yeah. Ernie, can you remind me to pack my Fire Stick?
Yes. Yes, I will. I don't think they'll let you in if you don't, Kev. Like, they're gonna be like,
did you watch last night? No, back of the line.
Right, yeah. Give me your ticket. They just rip your lanyard right off your neck.
And then a few days after that, episode 3 will drop, which is crazy, the Wednesday. And then we do our recap every Saturday. The 4th, the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. Excited to watch and get the screenshots on my phone and be judged for them. But
no, you're gonna do a great job.
But it'll be a nice break, a hiatus on the podcast, and then after the show's done, we're coming back, right?
Like in July,
right?
Yeah. Unless they go, what if they give us Bad Batch right after that?
Oh, no, they have to announce it now, don't they?
Celebration,
dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude.
Right.
They might even
Next
have
week.
a trailer.
Right.
Dude.
We can get and Andor's coming up too. We can get a whole list this week. Kevin is not only Kenobi; it's going to be huge. I think we're going to get so much news. I really do.
All right.
That's a hot take, Ernie. We're going to get a lot of news.
I'm saying of all these shows, I feel like Bad Batch is going to be like, hey, here you go.
Yeah.
Bad Batch is over. Here's Andor. Here you go.
Then make sure you are subscribed to all the appropriate channels that you're listening to, because
Andor's at
Boba
the end
Squadron.
of summer. End of summer? In the summer? I heard
are
summertime.
Are you confirming that?
No, I read it somewhere. It was on
in that Vanity Fair thing. Oh.
Yeah, it'll be like it was an Entertainment Weekly, whatever the Vanity Fair spread or whatever they talked about. There was the releases, and they were saying late summer for that. For
probably
Andor.
September. Probably September.
Yeah, and which would take it to like
which would make sense because that would mean Bad Batch would be like July, August.
Then Andor.
We got a whole year of content ready, Kev.
A whole year of Star Wars. My God. My God. Is there anything else out there that is this giving and like fulfilling, man? This is insane.
Other than Marvel?
It's time to wrap it up.
Is it?
Give us a nice episode 10 hiatus send-off, Yoko. Really let the people know where they should be following us.
Okay. I got it. Thank you guys so much for sticking through 10 episodes of Boba Squadron with us. We've had a lot of fun doing this podcast. We hope we come back soon. 10 episodes. I said that, Kevin. He's gesturing at me wildly. By now, hopefully you have subscribed or followed or whatever the appropriate action is to do on the listening platform of your choice. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, you give that thumbs up and like and follow as well. Subscribe. Bless you, Kevin. He just sneezed off screen. Tune into our lives, returning May 30th, and then June 4th, and every Saturday after that through the end of Kenobi. And then I guess we'll find out what happens after that. May the Force be with you.
Perfect.
What's so funny?
Just may the Force be with you.
Was it a question?
I was like, what else can I say now? Nobody else is saying anything.
Stretch it.
Yeah.
May the Force be with you.